And let me make this big screen. Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of your ITRAD Fantasy Podcast. Now, we had an interesting week one, very exciting Thursday, very exciting Sunday, and some good games on Monday, rather, too. So, let's get straight into it. We're going to start with our power rankings first, as we always do. So I'm gonna let you go first, Eddie. We'll go number for number. So you start off with your number 9. I think you posted already, but
yeah, I'll just kind of recap and give a little blurb on each team. So at 9, I have the Cardiac Kids dropping 2 spots from last week. Lineup did not perform very well. Receivers looked a bit shaky. Jacobs and Kyler Murray popped off, but the rest of the lineup not looking too hot right now.
My number 9 spot, I have Fioropita's Tigers. Now, Sonny, I think I had him at number 4 last week, but
sounds about right.
As I remember, he drafted Michael Thomas with the 5th pick. Was it?
Yeah, 4th or 5th.
5th pick. I think it was 5th because Kenny took Dalvin Cook at 4.
That's right.
And Thomas now out, missing several weeks. Now, Sonny doubled up on wide receivers in this draft, and his number 1 pick is out. And so his lineup's looking pretty weak. You got Mahomes, Gurley, who was, not really too excited about him. Benny Snell at his RB2. Hopefully for him, James Conner doesn't come back. Now he's got Adams, Judy, Ertz, Metcalf, New England D. In my opinion, unless Devontae Adams puts up another showing like he did last week, I don't see Sonny's team going that far. Projected 113, one of the lower projections I've in a minute.
Definitely in a bit of trouble for the time being.
So on to my number 8, I have Julian. Julian's team, Josh Jacobs, had a really strong showing against a shitty Panthers D. But he did have 25 carries, so you definitely expect him to be a workhorse the rest of the season. Julian playing Scotty Miller at slot. Now, Scotty Miller did have a solid game last week. He had 12 points. But a guy like him, you just got to hope and pray he gets you some points, not someone you really go out thinking that he's definitely going to put up a double-digit performance. Eckler didn't get as many passes as he was getting from Rivers last season.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have at your number 8?
So at 8, I have Castro, actually. I had him at 2 in the preseason. I have him down 6 spots. So between the injuries to his team and the kind of underperformance, I thought Aaron Rodgers really surprised a lot of people. I don't think anyone had him going out there against the Vikings doing what he did. I think he had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He had a really good game. McCaffrey, he's McCaffrey. He did his thing. Evans only with the 1 catch. Keenan Allen kind of underperformed. Connor got injured, and we'll talk about that later, how that's going to affect his team going forward. But, yeah, Le'Veon on IR now. Things are looking kind of weak for him going forward.
So at my number 7, I have Castro too. Basically said everything that I really was thinking about his team. Obviously still got McCaffrey and Kelsey, but some underperformances, and I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to keep up with 4 touchdown performances week in and week out.
Yeah.
On to
asking for a lot. So 7, I got Simon and the Homosexuals up 2 spot. Originally, I had them dead last in the league with the preseason rankings, but they honestly didn't do too bad, I think Julio led the whole league in receiving yards this week, so that was nice. Andrews had the 2 touchdowns. Wilson lit it up. Marquise Brown. Still have some question marks with Ronald Jones and Odell, but up 2 spots and looking pretty good going forward for the time being.
I actually have Simon at my number 6. I think I had him ranked last coming into the season. Russell Wilson still showing he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. He's still got Ronald Jones starting. Odell Beckham, I'm just not too high on. But we'll see how Simon's team pans out for the rest of the season.
Yeah. So at 6, I got the Glizzy Glizzy Gladiators also up 2 spots from last week. So Kevin played you last week, and honestly, I didn't expect a lot from him, and he kind of had a pretty big week between Josh Allen, Adam Thielen with the 2 late touchdowns. Derrick Henry, I think, had over 30 touches, so
33.
Pretty surprised with 33. So yeah, I'm pretty surprised with how his team popped off.
Was wearing that mask that said "Give the ball to Derrick Henry." So
that's always a good sign. So yeah, Kevin's team's not looking too bad.
At my number 5, I have you, Ed. I think I also had you at number 5 last week. Mm-hmm. So no change here. Still think you're going to be a team contending for a playoff spot regardless. Not really much to say about that besides actually, who was the person? Did you have an injury last week? No, right?
No. Nope.
Someone else. All right, on to your 5.
So 5, I actually have you down 2 spots from last week. So we thought you had a good matchup with Kevin last week. Your team didn't do horrible, just didn't perform to as high as obviously you would have hoped. Zeke had a big game. Tyreek got that late touchdown. Kittle kind of underperformed a little bit. Other than that, kind of just an average week for you. I think you'll still be contending at the end, but
you have me at 5, right?
Yeah. Are we off a number?
No, I'm on 4 now. At number 4, I have Kevin and the Glizzy Gladiators. With his RB1 missing, pulled out a dub last week. I don't think his team really looks too bad moving forward at all. As long as Miles Sanders could stay healthy, I think he's got a good squad going forward.
Definitely. So are we on to 4 now?
Yeah.
Cool. I got Sonny and Fear Pete's Tires at 4. Now, when I did these rankings, that was prior to Michael Thomas being ruled out for a couple weeks. But regardless, I wouldn't have dropped him that much further down considering that. He still has a decent lineup with Mahomes, Adams. Gurley, I thought looked okay on Sunday. But we got some question marks when it comes to Benny Snell at RB2, Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver 2. I like Metcalf at the flex, so we'll see how these question marks kind of pan out for him going forward.
On to my number 3, we have Kenny and Team Yerba Mate. We were watching last week. We were confused at what Yerba Mate was, but it is a drink, some sort of
drink.
Drink, something along those lines. But Kenny always one of those players where you really don't know what to expect out of him. Like you kind of think he pulls a boneheaded move and then he comes out winning. So not really much to say about that. I think he was ranked 6 for me last week, so he moved up spots. Who was your number 3?
My 3 was also Kenny. I had him at 6 as well, so he's up 3 spots. He actually moved the most spots up from anyone in the league. I had the pleasure of taking Kenny on this week, so I know firsthand how his team performed. Deshaun kind of turned up in the fourth quarter. I think he ended with around 20. Cook had 2 scores. Amari looked really good on Sunday night against Ramsey. Juju ended up in the end zone twice. So Kenny's team kind of turned up when he needed it to this week. Ended up with the dub over me, unfortunately.
At my number 2, I have Diego. I think I had Diego at 3 last week, and this week I have him at 2. His team looking very nice, especially with how involved Kamara was with that offense. I think he had 3 touchdowns. Lamar showing he's still doing MVP things. Aaron Jones had a nice showing, and he's just got a really solid team moving forward.
Yep, I agree. I actually have him at my number 2 as well, and you pretty much talked about everything that I was going to. I take on Diego this week, and I'm hoping that these guys don't perform as well as they did last week, because if they do, probably going to be in trouble.
And moving on to number 1, I think we both have Nick at number 1, right?
Yep, we do.
Okay, so Nick's team, he definitely was the highest scorer last week, right?
Yeah, 170, 180, he was up there.
170. Nick always comes out strong in these first couple weeks of the season. Like I said before, Nick just hasn't been able to produce in that playoff matchups, but I definitely think his team's going to be strong going into these following weeks.
Without a doubt, lineup's looking nice. I like the Ryan and Ridley stack. That turned up big last week. I think they had 2 touchdowns together. Hopkins set a personal record, most receptions. Barkley didn't look great, but we all know what he's capable of, so I'm sure he'll get it together as the weeks roll on.
And so that's our power rankings. Let's move on to the recap of the matchups from last week. Let me pull it up here. So first matchup I'm gonna go over. We have Glizzy Gladiators versus my Uzumaki Clan. Josh Allen came out firing 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wasn't really expecting that big of a performance from him, regardless of how bad that Jets team is as overall. But Derrick Henry had 33 touches, 18 points. Boston Scott only had 7 points, but it didn't matter because Adam Thielen with 33 points. Mind you, I went up against him in 3 leagues last week, and I lost all 3 of them because of this guy. He had late touchdowns in the game. I think he only had like 9 points going into the quarter, and then he exploded like that. Nola D also was getting slept on, had 20 points. Brady threw
pick six.
Yeah, pick 6. He had Jenkins. 2 picks. Yeah, he fumbled too, I think.
Yeah. I think they ended with like 20 points or so. New Orleans D, so that was a big day for them.
I had a little bit of underperformers on my team. George Kittle had only 9 points. A-Rob, 12 points, only 5 catches, 74 yards. Breeze had 14 points. Breeze played fine, but when they got into the end, Mar just turned up, had 3 touchdowns. Nothing you could really do about that. I ended up losing 160 to 126. But hopefully going forward, I see some people that could definitely pick it up for me. Tyreek Hill didn't even have like a deep reception last week. Waiting on that connection for him and Mahomes. Zeke looked good, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Buffalo defense has another nice matchup next week, so hopefully
offense, right? Yeah.
So I'll let you start on the Fear Peters Tigers. There's a whole lot of fantasy matchup from last week.
Yes, this was I think one of the closest games with either mine or Kenny's. He ended up pulling off the comeback. He won 142 to 138. Robert Woods kind of turned up big for him that Sunday night. Aaron Jones, I think, had a late score that really helped him. Kamara, I think you said it before, 3 touchdowns. So that was pretty big. And then Lamar. He ended with 28. Sunny side, let me see who kind of underperformed for him. Honestly, no one really let him down. James White kind of stuck out a little bit with his RB2 spot, only 11. Devontae Adams, he had like 40-something, right? Oh, here it is. Michael Thomas only had 4. I was reading the projections. Devontae popped off, which kind of made up for that Michael Thomas.
I'm not sure who was guarding Michael Thomas. I mean, I guess it had to do with the ankle sprain that.
Yeah, they were like double covering every single play. That was kind of crazy. Never seen him wrapped up like that.
Yeah, Todd Gurley had a nice game. New England
touchdown
to hopefully for Sonny recreate that little run they had last year when they were the number 1 ranked defense.
Yeah, they're still solid.
Gilmore
got good matchups in that division.
Yeah, Metcalf. I love Metcalf.
Yeah, he looked nice on that deep ball from Russ.
But yeah, so Robert Woods too, another player I really like moving forward. Looked great. 6 catches, 105 yards, 20 points without a touchdown.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Moving on, I'll let you start this one too. Your matchup.
So we all know this one came down to the last game of the week. Noah Fant was, I think, 4 points away going into the second half. 19 in the first half, had a touchdown, was busting off big plays. Looked like we had it in the bag. And then everything fell apart in that second half. Other than that, on my squad, I was really happy with what I saw from my running backs. Clyde kind of popped off a little bit. He had some big runs. Still hasn't gotten involved in the passing game too much, but obviously I'm hoping
I would like to say I apologize for the Clyde Edwards-Helaire slander.
I appreciate that.
Heavy slander Edwards-Helaire.
A whole segment.
Helaire came out firing, looked great. Looked like a little Shady McCoy out there. I love Edwards-Helaire looking forward.
Same here. Kenny's squad, who kind of pulled it out for him? Oh, yeah, Juju. He had 25, the 2 touchdowns on the first Monday night game. Watson looked good in the fourth quarter. He finished with 21. Dalvin, we all know what he's capable of. He finished with 23, I think. Lockett, I think he had like 9 catches, so pretty solid PPR kind of day for him.
Yeah,
Kenny pulled it out.
Kenny's team, I also think Mixon going forward should definitely do better than his 6-point performance last week. I mean, he had a nice little 70 yards. That Chargers front 7 is tough. So
I think he had a late fumble too, so they kind of shaded away from him
Only concern really for me with Kenny going forward is Watson. Watson had like 4 points going into the fourth quarter before garbage time against the Chiefs. Ended up with 20. Yeah. But that O-line just did not look good at all. Those wide receivers didn't look good.
That one play, the tackle just didn't touch anyone. That was horrible.
Learning going forward for Texans.
Yeah, no doubt. What was the other game?
You have Cardiac Kids versus Homosexuals. Homosexuals pulled this win off 135.3 to 114.5. Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson both had great showings. 6 total touchdowns between them. Wilson slinging it, coming out firing. Jacobs looked like he was going to give Julian that edge there. He had 3 touchdowns in a 1 o'clock game. I thought he was going to win this one. Until the rest of Julian's team just kind of shit the bed.
Yeah, Eckler, A.J. Brown, Deontay Johnson didn't do as much as I'm sure Joel would have hoped. Evan Ingram only 2 catches, right?
Yeah, San Francisco D with 3.
Yeah. A lot of underperformers.
Simon's team just performed, except for the Browns. The Browns, another team I'm kind of concerned about moving forward. 5.6 points. Odell Beckham, 5.2 points. 3 catches, 22 yards on 10 targets. Not really what you want to see from your wide receiver 2 out here. Julio 9 catches, 157 yards. Julio always just going to be that. Julio's got to stay doing that if Simon wants a chance to make a playoff for him. Because personally, I don't think Odell Beckham is really a viable option moving forward.
No, not at all. I mean, the volume's there, but that connection between him and Baker still hasn't kind of come to fruition just yet.
Mark Andrews, he's got that nice little Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown combo there. The 2 deadliest, outside of Lamar Jackson, 2 deadliest in that offense. So I think that'll also be a nice little tandem for him going forward. My only concern really for Simon's team is Ronald Jones. I feel like as the Bucs get deeper into the season, I think I could just see Fournette taking that role as he gets more things.
Yeah, that RB2 spot, I think he just has Coleman and Armstead from Jacksonville on his bench, unless he picks someone up this week that I missed. But that RB2 spot's going to be a big spot of concern for him moving forward this season.
And we have I thought it was 170. Nick scored 180.
180. Jeez.
Team Barkley 179.6. My turn. After being ranked in the top 2, I think he was Nick was 1 or was he 1?
I had Nick at 1 and him at 2 in my rankings.
Yeah,
I think ours were pretty close.
After being ranked 2 in multiple power rankings, Castro with lowest scoring performance of last week, 93.2 points. If you just look at his team, first of all, negative 10 points.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's what jumps off the page at you.
James Conner had 9 yards left the game. Keenan Allen 4 catches, 37 yards. Mike Evans had 1 catch, which was
a touchdown, right?
Le'Veon Bell only 14. Bell on IR. Evans didn't leave the game, but he was hurt going into the game, I think.
Yeah.
Now he's kind of hurt. I think he needs to find a new defense, get a new kicker. I think Seibert got cut, didn't he?
Yeah. Yep.
It was cut.
I'm not sure we.
Just kind of concerning for me. Also, looking at his depth. Mark from. I don't know how I feel about him. J.K. Dobbins got all the goal line carries.
That's really concerning.
Gronk had 2 catches for 11 yards. Justin Jefferson, Pittman didn't really do much. They're rookies. He's got 3 rookie wide receivers on his bench.
John Brown actually played pretty good. He'll probably end up in his flex spot.
He also got hurt.
Did he? Shit. So his whole bench, his lineup, he's in trouble.
So that's congratulations all the teams starting off 1-0. Wish I could say I was one of them. But let's get into the we have our love-hate players of this week. I'll let you start off with your most loved player of the week.
Sure. So both my players are actually going to come from the Monday night game, and they're both running backs. So on the love side, I'll be going against Alvin Kamara this week. He's definitely the player that sends the most concerns, for me this week.
Hmm.
That Raiders defense, they just got torched by McCaffrey, receiving and running game. I think he's probably going to light him up too.
Yeah, I could see that. My love player of the week, I have Devontae Adams. Adams coming off a 43-point performance last week. I saw Mitchell Trubisky dot up that Lions secondary. So I really don't see anybody. They got rid of Darius Slay in the offseason. I don't know. I don't think I could really name besides Okuda anyone in that secondary.
He was hurt too. I don't think he started. Who?
Glover Quinn.
No, he's a fossil. I think he's washed. He's out of the league.
That guy used to get like Team of the Year cards in.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him in a while.
Yeah, Devontae Adams, I think, has probably the best wide receiver matchup for me this week. Either him or Allen Robinson I like against the Giants.
Yeah, especially if Okuda's out again for Detroit. I don't know who they're going to put on him.
Oh, Okuda didn't play last week?
No, he's out with a hamstring, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, well, I know that.
Probably going to eat again.
My hate player of the week, I have your own David Johnson going up against this Ravens defense that held Nick Chubb to 5 points. I'm pretty sure Chubb, pretty much that offense in Cleveland likes to run through Chubb. And after week 2 or 3 last year, when Chubb ran for like 100-something yards.
Yeah, he ran all over them the 1 week.
They came out and held him to, I think it was, how many yards did he have last week?
I think like 40 and a fumble or something. Hunt actually didn't do too bad. I think Hunt had like 60 or 70, if I'm not mistaken.
He had 60 yards. I don't think he had any catches.
No,
he had 1 catch.
Probably not.
5.6 points. He did have the -2 from the fumble. But yeah, David Johnson this week going up against a tough defense, probably top 5 defense in the league. I don't think it helps that I feel like the Ravens are just going to torch the Texans.
It's going to kind of go against the game script.
Be running the ball a lot after that first half.
Yeah, it is concerning, but play what we got to play. Maybe we'll make a late lineup change. But for my hate player, actually from Julian's team, Josh Jacobs going up against the Saints this week on Monday night. That Saints front, they look really aggressive on Sunday. They held Ronald Jones pretty much in check. I don't think Fournette was really even in the game. As good as Jacobs is and as good as he looked on Sunday, I'm kind of worried about him going into this week.
Especially if I feel like that defense is not going to hold up against the Saints, and they're not themselves in a similar situation from last week where it was kind of a back and forth game, but they could stick with that run game. I feel like they're going to get down early.
Yeah, and Jacobs isn't really a proven receiving back, so we'll see how many balls he catches out of the backfield.
Moving on now, we have our pick'ems for this week. Who plays? Oh yeah, Browns Bengals play on.
That's tomorrow.
But moving on, I have the first matchup between me and Julian. Obviously, I'm going to pick myself. I'm not going to bet against myself. Julian only projected 113 this week. I feel like I just got a lot of good matchups. I feel like Breeze will definitely be able to pick it up this week. Hopefully Robinson could.
Against the Giants, I think he'll have a good day for you.
Kittle, if healthy, against the Jets. Buffalo defense versus Miami Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 3 really bad interceptions last.
That's horrible.
Zeke versus Atlanta. Atlanta let Russell Wilson pretty much make him look like Swiss cheese. So I hope you get involved in that passing game.
Definitely. I think Carson had 2 receiving touchdowns against him last week, so hopefully Zeke gets the same kind of thing. For that matchup, I actually have you as my lock for this week over Julian. Too many question marks into his lineup, especially at receiver. Sutton and Brown, they're both questionable going into this week. Brown, when he did play, it took him a while to get going. Austin Eckler, I think he only had 1 catch. Until he proves different, that's going to be a point of concern for me. Evan Ingram, him too. I think he only had 2 catches, so a lot of question marks for Jewel going into this week. I know he'll probably disagree with that, but
Next up, we have the Glizzy Gladiator, Kevin, versus Dear Peter's Tigers. This is actually my lock of the week. I have Kevin beating him. We have Josh Allen going up against the Miami Dolphins. Cam Newton had his way rushing with them. I feel like not as much, but Josh Allen will definitely find his way on those goal line carries.
definitely.
Derrick Henry versus Jacksonville. Miles Sanders versus the Rams. This is a matchup I like too. Adam Thielen versus Indianapolis. AJ Green,
Yeah.
Cleveland. AJ Green, despite coming off of the bad injury last year, he looked really good. He had the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah. Called him on PI, I think.
Yeah, called a pussy-ass pass interference. Sonny, on the other hand, I just don't, unless Devontae Adams carries him to another victory, I don't see anyone on that team besides Mahomes really popping off.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is him starting Jerry Jeudy versus the Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Definitely. It's risky.
Yeah. So that's my lock for the week.
I actually have this as my game of the week, and I also have Kevin coming out on top over Sonny. I think Sonny's going to keep it close with Adams against Detroit. I think Ertz will do all right against the Rams. Mahomes, I think he could light up the Chargers he's playing, right?
Yeah.
And then Gurley has Dallas. I think he'll keep it close, and he could possibly steal it if a couple of guys on Kevin's team slips. But should be relatively high scoring, both teams.
Next we have who I have as the game of the week. Whole lot of fantasy. Diego versus Suck My Dicka. You. I feel like this is gonna be a really interesting game to watch. You just have good matchups across the board. I like Dak against Atlanta, Lamar versus Houston. You have Kamara and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
And I think what will be the pivoting factor in this is Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. I feel like whoever gets the funnel on either team is gonna come out with the W.
Yeah, it kind of depends on who draws Slay. So if Kupp is covered by Slay, then Woods will probably pop off, and if it's the other way around, then Kupp will probably pop off. I'm hoping, obviously, Slay is on Woods the entire game. He looked really good. I'm not going to talk too much about this game. Obviously, I'm hoping I pull it out. But, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of good matchups across the board on both teams. Should be high scoring as well.
Moving on, we have Yerba Mate versus Team Barkley. I have this as my upset of the week. Kenny is 1-0, ranked fairly high on the power rankings. But I have him as my upset because Nick's coming off a 180-point performance, ranked number 1 in everyone's power rankings. So I feel like this would just be fitting for Kenny to pull out with the dub in this game. Nick is taking a little bit of blow because Chris Godwin did enter concussion protocol.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know if this is a smokescreen or not, but he's got Jonathan Taylor starting over Chris Carson. Maybe not. New England's got a nice defense, so maybe he's going the rookie there against a Minnesota defense that got lit up last week. Hop versus Washington. I feel like his point total is just going to come down to how well the offensive line can block for Kyler Murray. Redskins had 8 sacks last week against the Eagles. I'm almost positive that was the most by a team last week.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Jonnu Smith looked pretty nice. He's got Ruggs starting at the flex. Now, Ruggs only had 3 catches for 55 yards last week in a shootout. I didn't watch that game, so wasn't sure what was going on with that, if he was dropping balls or anything.
I think he got hurt at some point. I think he missed time of the game.
That actually.
Yeah.
But Kenny, I feel like he has the potential for the upset here. If Watson gets those garbage time points again, I feel like Cook could definitely do good for him against Indianapolis. Mixon versus Cleveland, I like. if Juju obviously Big Ben's favorite target. They got the most chemistry out of that wide receiving core. A lot of young guys. Him, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. Who's the other wide receiver?
Washington, right?
Yeah, James Washington.
James Washington.
Lockett versus New England, though. Depending what Gilmore's doing, I don't know if Gilmore would man up on Metcalf.
You'd probably draw Metcalf outside, yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
But Indianapolis D versus Minnesota, I feel like that could go either way. Indianapolis took an L to Jacksonville, who was supposed to be like the unanimous kind of
surprising
team. But who do you have for this matchup?
So I definitely think Kenny has the potential for the upset here, but I'm not going to pick against Nick just yet. I think Ryan and Ridley against Dallas, they could very easily pop off again. Hopkins, I think he had 16 targets last week, which is outrageous. He's probably going to get close to that again and pop off. I really like Jonathan Taylor against the Vikings. I think he's kind of low-key right now, but he should get the bulk of the touches there in Indy. Barkley against my Bears. The Bears looked slow last week. Barkley could get his coming out party this week very easily.
Yeah, especially if fucking what's the guy's name who just got red ring trucked by
fucking Jalen Johnson. Yeah, that's horrible. Barkley will probably just jump over him. He won't fucking truck him. Kenny's squad, biggest concern for me this week is Joe Mixon against Cleveland. He didn't look great against the Chargers last week. He's kind of the X factor here. If Mixon has a good day, if he could put up 20 points, get in the end zone a couple times, then Kenny could definitely pull this off. But other than that, I'm going to roll with Nick here.
Last matchup, we have homosexuals versus my turn. This is kind of a matchup I'm kind of torn between. I don't know who to go with just because of the status of James Conner. If Conner doesn't play, he doesn't really have anyone besides John Brown, who's also questionable to fill that flex spot.
Maybe CD, yeah.
Russell Wilson versus New England. Depending on how, this is what I think the game is going to come down to. I think it actually may come down to the quarterbacks here, because if Wilson gets shut down, Wilson was I think the highest scorer on Simon's team last week. No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. Him or Julio, they both had big days.
Yeah, so if Wilson gets shut down, I think Castro could come out away with this dub. But I'm gonna go with Castro. Just because I feel like Kelsey will definitely put up 15 plus. McCaffrey against Tampa Bay, Kamara had 3 touchdowns, had a little day against them. I think McCaffrey could do the same. I think Rodgers dice up Detroit. Other than that, Evans and Ingram. I just realized he put Ingram in his starting lineup.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm actually picking against that. I got Simon coming out this week on top. I really like Julio against Dallas. I think he could very easily have a repeat performance. Definitely over 100 yards. Andrews and Marquise Brown against Houston. That defense did not look very good against the Chiefs. They could both have big days again. I think Odell might actually be able to. I mean, that Cincy defense isn't very good. If there's ever a time for him to get it right, it would be this week. So on Castro's side, Rodgers and McCaffrey could definitely have big days again with their matchups. But other than that, there's too many question marks with Ingram. Keenan Allen didn't do very good. James Conner, like you mentioned. So rolling with the homosexuals to go 2-0.
Now, I think looking back at these matchups, I don't think I proclaimed my winner of you and Diego's game. This one is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Diego on this one. I'll tell you why. I don't know if I have faith in him this year. How many points did you have last week?
Yeah, 9, but he was the most targeted receiver. He just had those 2 big drops. I think you were here when you saw those.
Yeah, I just Phillip Rivers. I don't like him at all. I don't like him.
I don't blame you.
I feel like Kenyon Drake could give you a little bit of trouble going up against that Washington front. But moving on, our last segment, we're approaching 35-minute mark. So last segment of this episode, we're just going to do a quick waiver wire recap. Me and Eddie were talking about this before we started, and we both want to address something off the bat regarding who had the number one pick this week in the waiver order. Castro had the number one pick. There were some great options out there. Benny Snell, who was out there.
Fine.
He's got Connor. Benny Snell looked great behind that.
Made the most sense.
He had, how many yards did he have? He had like 100.
116. It was well over. Yeah, that's some big plays.
Even when James Conner was in, Benny Snell was still getting carries.
Definitely.
Would it make the most sense for him to go with Snell? He went with Mason Crosby. Now he did say that he had a pickup in for Malcolm Brown, but I guess Brown fell behind Crosby in the order.
Yeah, that's a shame. I think he's really going to regret that. Hines was out there, Benny Snell, fucking Malcolm Brown. Those were three great options. And he walked away with Crosby.
Actually ended up getting Benny Snell. And I think Sonny was the last to pick out of the losing teams. No?
He was definitely the bottom half, yeah.
Yeah, he was the last to pick out of the losing teams and ended up getting Benny Snell. I had Snell on my list, but I didn't I would have had him first. But my train of thought was, okay, Castro's got James Conner. There's no way he doesn't pick him up with his.
I thought the same thing. Yep.
So I had Hines at my number one. Now, I'm still happy with getting Hines because Marlon Mack's out for the year. It looked like the Hines show. So
yeah, he looked really good.
Jonathan Taylor in that backfield now. I don't know who their third stringer is now with Marlon Mack out.
I think it's Jordan Wilkins or something. But Hines caught 8 passes. He looked like what Eckler was for Rivers in L.A.
That's what I was also thinking. I think Rivers with his noodle-ass arm is going to make Hines his Austin Eckler.
Yeah, I'm hoping T.Y. turns into his Keenan Allen, but we'll fucking see about that.
So the top 3 backs for me that were on the waiver, it was Snell, Hines, and then Malcolm Brown. Now, I actually passed out in like the first quarter of the Cowboys game. How did Malcolm Brown look?
He was solid. He reminded me of Gurley, the way he was running. He was physical, man. And in the receiving game, I think he caught 4 or 5 passes in the screen game. It looks like McVay drew the game plan around fucking Malcolm Brown. He was tearing it up. Fell into the end zone twice. I think he ended with 26.
Is he a rookie or second year?
I think he's like a 4th year. I think he's been in the league for a while. He was always Gurley's backup.
Who was the running back last year that was getting gassed up on the Rams?
Oh, Darrell Henderson. Yeah, that dude.
That's what I was thinking of.
He's rotting now, I think.
Darrell Henderson.
And they got Cam Akers back there. We'll see how that backfield pans out. But Brown looked good. I think Jewel got him.
Yeah, Julian ended up getting Malcolm Brown. And then, like you mentioned before we started recording this, Diego had a nice pickup in the Washington defense.
Yeah.
He dropped Blake Jarwin. I think he's out for the season, right? Blake Jarwin.
Yeah, towards ACL, non-contact.
Yes, I think that's definitely a good pickup for this week.
That front looked really good. Chase Young, Jonathan Allen.
Just going over some other pickups, we had Sonny added Sammy Watkins. Last year, Sammy Watkins had 37 points week 1 and disappeared for the rest of the season.
Fell off the radar.
Julian also picking up Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Thing about those Packers receivers outside of Devontae Adams, I just never would feel comfortable starting any besides Devontae Adams.
Unless you had a bye week or something.
Yeah.
Until they prove it.
Scantling, Lazard, all these guys that he just kind of makes into relevant names. I would just personally start them. You picked up Dallas Goedert, dropped the Bears defense. Why the Bears defense?
They look like shit. The way they were letting Adrian Peterson run all over them, it was like fucking 2009 out there again. They just look slow. I wouldn't trust the Bears defense until they get into midseason form. No pass rush, really. They had the 1 turnover, but I think they ended with -1 against Detroit, so not a whole lot of confidence with them.
Goddard actually the number 1 tight end now after week 1.
Yeah.
101 yards, 8 catches, and a touchdown. Kind of crazy for being behind Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I think Washington was trying to keep Ertz out of the game plan. They knew he was the number 1 guy, and that kind of just left Goddard open on a lot of plays. I'm hoping that continues, obviously. I'm actually thinking about starting him this week.
Glizzy Gladiators picked up Robbie Anderson and Paris Campbell.
Yeah.
just kind of little depth additions there. I do like Robbie Anderson, actually. He's the guy doesn't do much but just run towards the end zone on streaks, which when he gets them ends up nice. But I think there was Homosexuals added the Chiefs defense, dropping the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
And then also my turn dropped the Vikings defense for the Browns defense. Not sure how I feel about that one. Browns defense kind of got thrashed by Lamar Jackson and the Ravens last week. And then the last acquisition, which was made at 157 today, Chase Edmonds was dropped for Scotty Miller by Julian.
I think Miller caught a decent amount of passes. He kind of looked like a young Edelman. We'll see what Brady does with him.
Brady likes his white slot receivers. Maybe a good acquisition down the road.
We'll see.
Anything else?
I think that's everything. That's everything I'd written down.
All right, that's it for today. Gonna wish everyone good luck going to this week 2. We got a great game tomorrow night. Bengals Browns. I'm gonna hope nobody gets injured. No injuries this week. We'll all pray. Good luck to everyone. Ed, anything before we leave?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. It was a pleasure filling in for Castro as the co-host.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, Castro was not able to make it today. He was busy, and I just wanted to get this out before the game tomorrow because I'm going to be working. And then Castro's going to be working on Friday. So thank you for filling in. You
got it. Thanks for having me. Do it again soon.
Problem. So good luck, everybody, and let's get ready for some football.
Good luck. Let's do it.